them. So when we are doing our evangelization, let them know the process, or let them know what the Bible really says. Don't just tell the person that when you come to Christ, tomorrow you are fine, you'll be rich, God will give you money, or that. Yeah, God will give us money, but it has a process. So I think the message we put across, winning them to church, it's one. Okay, that's what drives them away. And then secondly, we should also try to bring whatever is out there into the church. When they don't, because they are coming from somewhere. You brought the person from somewhere. So when the person comes in, trying to fit in, you should be very tactical about it. And the church has to do more. Okay? So that's a suggestion.
Thank you. Hello.
So my name is Elo. I want to bring it to examples in the church. So if you invite the youth to come for programs, even a program like this, a lady decides to wear a jeans trousers. And after the program, a parent or an elderly person walks to this lady. Please, jeans trousers is for men. Don't wear it again. Next time, the person will not come. So it also boils down to our parents or the elderly ones, how they talk to people who come to church, or how they present issues to them. The other one too is, for me like this, there was a cleanup exercise. I came in, let's say 30 minutes late. And I'm you to know, I'm sorry. With the time I will back. Next time, if me, I'll come, but somebody will not come again. Someone will not come again. So the early ones should also see how, or should look at how they talk to us, the kind of things they say, how they say it, and the kind of things they shouldn't even say at all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Saint Bakita Youth. Okay, so my name is Jose. I think everyone here has a release clause. Those of us who don't understand what a release clause is. I know my brother here, he wants a Honda. So if ICGC right now is giving him Honda, he will go. So now to my point. Here is the Honda. We are in St. Bakita Catholic Church. There have been times I have left this church to go very far to go and play drum. And yes, I'm a drum bill, but drums is my release clause. For me, I go and I come. I know another person in this church, Oshijama. So there was a time we had praise morale. He used to come around. Once it's praise morale, he's here. And after a program, I don't remember the program, a parent told us that, till now, he doesn't come. But if praise morale should do something, I tell him that, Chairman, praise morale is doing something. You see him here. So it's about knowing our release clauses and finding a way to make it part of our service. Me, I've said my own, it is drum. If you put drum here right now, me every day I'll sit in the church. But if drums can make me travel somewhere, then secondly, I think we ourselves too are a factor. If I look around and I ask certain people right now, the person you are sitting by, what is his or her name? Some people will not be able to tell. We come to church, same friends, same company, we are gone. Yesterday I asked whether you have just gotten up and gone to another Catholic church. And what is the experience like? Nobody will mind you. It is here at St. Bakita that you're a chairman. But if you go somewhere, another Catholic church, nobody will mind. And we too, we do it here. When we see new people, they are new and they have decided to come. If they have come, they should go home. but that shouldn't be the practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's another hand here.
So my name is Kate Blejuma. Mine is
Please, we didn't get your name well.
Kate Blejuma. I think I will talk about the parents. It's like when the children are young. I'm also a parent. We bring the children to church, but when they get to some stage, we leave them on their own. And especially when they go to the tertiary institutions, they are influenced by other churches. They are ready to grasp them, but the Catholics do not do that. Personally, when I went to nurses training, this light, especially Lighthouse Chapel, I'm sorry to do that, but they will try a way of getting you to their church, knowing that you don't know your faith very well. But if you know the Catholic teachings, you'll be able to, resist all the temptation to move to the church. So I think parents, we should monitor our children when they get to the tertiary institution. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To add something to what Elom and Jose said, there is this Archbishop, very popular in Ghana, Archbishop Akwesi Sapon. In those days, in the Kumasi Archdiocese, the church was just keyboard, nothing else. And he realized that most of the parishioners or most of the people in his diocese were following the traditional way of doing their things and all of those things. And he was losing followers. So what did he do? He inculcated traditional drumming and traditional art into the liturgy. So whenever there's a procession, you'll be seeing the fonton from all the kete and all of those things, which were bringing kings, queen mothers into the church. So somebody sitting somewhere will feel that, oh yeah, bosom, those things, no. But now when they see that these things are being done in the church, it makes them see that they are actually welcomed into the church. So I think it's one thing that we should look at. And for the parents too, I have an experience too. There was a service here. I was supposed to do a bidding prayer. Something happened, and I had to go and bring a keyboard. I spoke to the lady right after Mass. She didn't say anything. She actually had to wash me on our platform. That why will I, if I know I can't do the bidding prayers, why would I say, was this not the woman I was standing outside of the church with? Why would she come and do that? So for a time, I stopped my activities that I was doing with the Monday group and all of those things. So I think some of our parents too, if we are not so strong-willed, because of course, Oya Brand here, Obrana Auntie, you can find a nice way of talking to the person rather than saying things in the masses to sort of degrade the person. So please, our parents here, have patience with that. If we have something, or if you do something which is wrong, find it in your nice way to tell us rather than telling us in a space where it's not so conducive. Thank you so much. Okay, so there's another hand here.
Good evening. So I want to talk on Ruby and Kwesi's point. So I side with Ruby and with Kwesi as well. Sorry, Kojo. I believe that the church may have a part to play, but let me tell you something. If you, as a human being, don't want to be in the church, you won't be. There are people who keep their faith, who may live to faraway places and still look for Catholic churches there. The point about the other people pulling us to our churches is because we don't understand what we do. You don't necessarily have to read any long thing. When you are doing something, someone comes to talk about what you are doing or hit on what you are doing, you basically have to ask questions and you get answers. You don't need to read any long thing. Right now, our priests are even staying with us. Anytime you come to the church, you have a question, ask them. There are elderly people that you live with, people you look up to. If you ask the person doesn't know, you and the person, hold the person, all of you go to Father, ask Father the question, and you all understand. No, seriously. I believe that if we, the youth, understand what we are doing and understand the Catholic Church, we will not leave the church, to be honest. The church may have a role to play, but we ourselves need to sit up and do something about it. We keep saying this is what they are doing, this is what we are doing. What are we also doing? And about the comments, people give comments, but can we imagine the kind of comments that the priest gets? And they don't say that, oh, today you made a comment, I won't come and say mass for you people again. As for the comments, here they come. We have to try hard to overlook those things and still do the work. It is difficult, but as they'll always say, the work is for God, and you're working in his vineyard, not for somebody. If you continue to look at it that way, you will do the work. Thank you. That's my suggestion.
Okay, there was a hand.
Thank you so much. Okay, so.
Hello, good evening. My name is Lorinda. So I was going to say something similar to what Eugenia said. What we've spoken about basically has been about the extrinsic motivation, but I think that it all boils down to what's in our hearts. So we need to have that desire. Once we are all here, it's because we have that desire. So when we have that desire, we are able to draw others into the church. It's exactly what Father said today. We should be able to pull others with our behavior and with our attitude. So we need to start with us before we start looking at outsiders, sorry. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
I think I also want to add something, and thank God Father is also here. We should, as leaders, leaders have a lot of responsibilities, and we should, as a church, also be careful that in trying to bring the youth into the church, we don't take the parents out of the church. Because in trying to, like the example you gave, that a priest somewhere in the Ashanti region tried bringing a bishop, bringing Fonton from and those things. Most of our parents who have experienced the Catholic faith for a very long time, they'll be like, Nigeria in Sunni. As he said, they are sorry, not so they will also have their own comments, just as the youth have their comments. So
Not to catch you, but let's not miss the point. We are talking about the next 30 years for the youth. So let's stay in that gap. Yeah. Let's not.
All right. So as we are trying to bring the youth into the church, we shouldn't forget to also keep the parents.
Sure. Thank you. So last two.
So I have a question before I contribute. My name is Abena. Please don't say trapper again. There are quite a number of trappers. Thank you. The question I have, and I hope you have an answer for me. When it comes to, yes, because or any of the team that is organizing this, when it comes to Saint Bakita, what is the engagement of the youth over, let's say, the last 5 years? Are you seeing an increase? You showed a very nice chart over there for the general Catholic Church. What is the case of St. Bakita over the past 5 years? Are you seeing an increase in participation or a reduction in participation? Before I continue.
Okay, that's beautiful. So we have our. Okay, so Adriana, is your hand up? No, you can answer. That's fine.
Hi, I'm Andrina. So I think I'll partially answer her question. So what I have realized about St. Bakita is we are all humans first. And our youth is ranging between a certain age and even older. Now, what's happening is we all know Maslow's theory of needs. The first one is psychological needs. Growing up, our parents provide us with shelter, food, and everything, so we are not fending for ourselves. So it's easier for us to stay in the church. However, whenever we move to the next stage, which is safety needs, love and belonging, our self-esteem, that's when we have marital, work, like employment, and academic, like reasons, which take us out. Now, what happens is when this happens, which a large majority of us fall into, we tend to move away from our natural environment. It doesn't necessarily mean that like you're losing us, but some reason is taking us out. Now in Bakita, a lot of us sitting here are between the ages of about, I don't want to say, so like 15 to like 40, like that. But a large majority of us sitting here are in probably our late 20s to 30s. So if you look at the number of people sitting here, in the next 30 years, we might all not be here because probably we've had families, we've moved around. And I mean, another thing I want to touch on is that I think we need to not only build the church, like, in fact, we need to work on that spiritually, but I think we need to learn to work with each other, because one thing I've also realized is that in other churches, they work with each other. So like in partnerships and other things, I think it helps build the community. I mean, it's a family we are building, so we need to learn to like bond properly in various aspects. For example, if somebody is in some sort of trade or some other profession, you can actually work with that person, build an establishment, employ your people, and then work together. That's one other way. Personally, we all have issues, psychological issues, emotional issues, how we relate to people, and that's where the problem of speaking comes in. And let's not forget that, yes, sometimes our parents tend to overparent us, because even at your big age, somebody can come and tell you that, oh, what you're wearing is wrong. However, if you should go to another Catholic church in another demographic surrounding, for example, if you go to Europe, I've actually seen people wear hot pants to church. I'm in no position to judge the person or tell the person that, hey, I don't think you should come to church. But look at this. There were only 20 of us in the church. I mean, if one person is wearing, in fact, it wasn't just one person, it was like 4. No, but let's look at this. The priest didn't come and say that, hey, you're wearing this, so don't come to church. The older people in the church never said anything about it. But then let's also respect that, yes, in Africa, we are very traditional people, and then how we are brought up is different. So we need to present ourselves, as part of our culture, we need to present ourselves to the greater good, that's God, the highest supreme being. And so one of the ways is how we dress up. Yes, so sometimes we might need to look at it. But sometimes I also feel like people rush into the church to experience God's presence. And so maybe how they are coming in might be the problem. But I also think that how people address that should also be looked at from both ends, because some people are very soft, some people are very thick-skinned, so you can actually speak to them about it. However, all that I'm trying to say is that we have needs, and sometimes our needs will take us out. Some people will get married. I mean, look at the church. We have a lot more females than male. Come again? So, no, yes, yes, they are supposed to bring more people in. However, love can be something else. The guy can say that, come to my, my church, and then the lady will say, come to my church. One Sunday turns to 2 Sundays, 2 Sundays turns to the whole year. So, sometimes we just need to look at these areas. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll take the last two. No.
My question wasn't answered. I was actually asking the question of what Bakita Youth has been for the past 5 years, but she has done her own personal contribution. The reason why I was asking is for us to bring it home a bit. We've done a lot as a church and as youth. I believe it's a bit over 5 years with Laudamus, with how we go about Road to Calvary, which is championed by the youth, the library project. So many things have been done by the youth. I was asking so that then I can follow up with the next thing. But I will assume, and I mean, the team can tell us later, but I'll assume that the youth engagement over the past 5 years has picked up, right? I know that there's a dip when the secondary school students go to school, but generally there has been a stronger interest in things of St. Bakita Church. The reason why I was saying that is then we have to compare that with other churches in Ghana, other Catholic churches in Ghana. What are they also doing? Do they have such youth-driven initiatives to help encourage the youth to be interested in the church? Look, I always look at things on 4 sides, from a spiritual perspective, emotional perspective, relational perspective, and leadership. And these are always of interest to young people. Young people are in a discovery phase. Unfortunately, whether our parents or anyone else likes it or not, we are also in a new age, and COVID made it worse. Millennials, Gen Zs, and all the other alphabets that will come subsequently, it's going to get even worse. Attention span is low. We need to be attracted even more for us to actually listen to something. And honestly, the Catholic Church is not good at that. The Catholic Church drags things. In sermons, it is dragged. I've even had my own father tell me, saying, yeah, Father Hilary ne preaching, amemba. Why? Because of how Father Hilary is, well, I'll call him one of the bad nuts in the soup, in my opinion, because there have been so many priests that we have experienced that take you through a theological service, sermon, and especially it's actually specific to the sermon. I believe Mass, as it is, no one can say the youth of this church don't know. From all the things we learn in catechism, and even when we go into universities, we end up joining the Catholic churches in the universities. And as a KNUST old student, I was also a PAX member. It's filled every week. We go. We love it. And it's purely because of that one aspect that is hooking people now and why they will leave the church. We will have more people leaving, and it is us that will leave into the next 30 years where our children will not care any longer because the sermons are not connecting with our everyday lives. It gets very theological, and we end up wondering, are we in the seminary or are we supposed to find meaning in what is being said? And I said, there are a few bad nuts, I'm calling them bad nuts, but they are the ones we are attracted to. Why? Because they are also thinking of the people they are talking to. That is the biggest drawback of the Catholic Church. And why you can't bring people in. Because when you bring them in, they have to adjust to our Mass services. And it's easy to explain because they are all biblically backed. But when it gets to the sermon, what just happened? And now you have so many pastors and preachers across the world that are attracting you by just a sermon. I personally follow about 4 other preachers, not in the Catholic faith. And so I've had people tell me, Abena, are you sure you are Catholic? I said, I'm Catholic and I love my Catholic church. But when it comes to enriching myself, I need more. Because, look, honestly, Sunday is never enough, and that's why we are doing this every day. But if Father Hilary is not here, and we are not sure of who is coming to preach and how his style of preaching would be, this is what is going to happen. We can do 5 million activities in the church, but if they are to come to church on Sunday and sit through and doze off and go home, they'll wonder, why did I come? Because I said we have spiritual needs, emotional needs, relational needs, and leadership needs. So then what these preachers have done is they've then taken the God principles into every other aspect. What is the God approach to leadership? How can we become kingdom entrepreneurs? This is what they are doing. And so you'll soon have more Catholics leaving because it is easier for the preachers to help them connect God to every aspect of their lives, which we don't do here. So 30 years, even though Africa will have the largest youth population, we lose the youth because of the speed of internet, which the Catholics in Ghana do not take advantage of properly, bite-sized content, not the full mass, stuff like that that will get people to wonder, who is this priest? What is this sermon about? And connecting it back to our everyday lives, because we are figuring ourselves out as youth. And until we find people who are able to use the inspired word of God to encourage us, they would leave.
Thank you, Abner. We'll take the last two, one here and one at the back.
Okay, so my name is Perez, and when you go to the campuses, the dynamics is different. Now, the problem is that if someone is a Catholic and the person goes to campus, the person is more likely to go to a Catholic church. But after university, that's where we see the changes. Now, everyone here is convinced of being in a Catholic church, at least, and there's a very low tendency of them joining another church. Now, the problem is that Jesus gave a perfect solution in Luke chapter 5. He said that you can't put a new wine in an old wineskin. Otherwise, it will break. And in order to preserve them, you have to put a new wine in a new wineskin. Now, when you go to all other Orthodox churches, you realize that after university, the youths are leaving. When you go to Pax Romana, Ken UST, there are a lot of them there, but afterwards, you don't know where they go to. So, but one of the, I've done a day, and a research on it, so I'm trying to share a little bit. But what you see is that in the Pentecost church, you see that after university, the youth are still there. But the dynamics is different in the Presbyterian, in the Methodist, and also in the Catholic church. So what is accounting for that? Now, the youth will leave because they feel a sense of belonging when they go to other churches, other new springing up churches. They are mostly a youthful church. Now, let's even put the word aside and the spiritual aspect aside. One other thing that religion or Christianity does is that it gives you a home where it gives you another kind of family. Now, when you go to Lighthouse, Christ Embassy, Christ, Love Economy, all these youthful churches. Yes.
Empower.
So what happens is that you see a lot of young people there, and a lot of them are Catholics, Methodists, Presbyterians. A lot of them are from these Orthodox churches. Now, I see that I come here, I started SHS, GHS with my friend, about 4 of my friends, and they've all left to this church. What will happen? I will also follow tune. Now, one guy said that as for him, no matter what, he's not leaving. Now, the youth are liberal. The older generation are conservative. Now, when the youth get to about 40, they just become a little bit quiet. So when there's praises and like they want to dance, bang, and all that, but our parents may not be inclined to that. So what the Pentecost church is doing is that they've created a niche for them. In about 30 years, most of us here will be in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. And then the numbers will keep on dwindling. So the Pentecost church, they've created a niche for the youth where they have sort of a youth service. And you know that after university, all my friends are around, so there is no way I'm also leaving. So I think that if we are looking forward in the next 30 years, what can we do? Maybe we should create a niche for them where it is more youthful. You are not mixing them because the older generation don't like the way the youth like their things. So that's just my small suggestion.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take one last comment from.
Yeah. Good evening. I heard a lot of things about parents, so I'm going to take it from the parents' perspective. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Roger, you want? Good evening again. heard a lot of things about parents, so it's a youth program, so I'm going to take it from the parents' perspective. I think that would be really good. At least we just sing to bring a little bit of clarity. I think that you should know, all of us should know that God is always God. He never changes. That is one thing we should all know. In this world, things will change. People will do things the way they want to do it. But as youth, I think that any parent, anything that we do, is for your own good. And you should really just understand. Yes, we want to understand you, but we want to lead you to God. Any other church, they can do anything that they want to do. But the most important thing that we are all about is God. And please, don't look as if that the parent, when they come here, is to frustrate you, to make your life miserable, to make things difficult for you, and so that you go out. No, that's not the purpose. We want to, this is where God is. God is in the Catholic Church. We can go anywhere. If you read a lot about what is happening in other churches, they will tell you that the Catholic Church is the Catholic Church. 2,000 years ago, the Catholic has been existing. You can talk about all those charismatic churches. Where are they today? A lot of examples. Where are they? So please, the youth, we are with you. We are only just want to guide you, for you to really just take the leadership, the mantle of the Catholic. That's all that all parents are all about. There's nothing, no malice, nothing that will really hate you or want to make life miserable for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Paul. Talking about the youth, in the next 30 years, it's a long way to go. We need to be rich. We need to become billionaires in the next 30 years. The church needs money, you know. What we put down here now is just for today. Talking about tomorrow, we need to put something better than that. So we need to have involve activities like fetching money, teaching the youth how to fetch the cash, especially talking about crypto, Bitcoin, and all that. It's very important. When you go to other churches like that, I would like to you, they have youth in a room that they fetch money for the church. In the next 30 years, it's a long way. How many years will it take you to learn those softwares? Guy, what's up?
Thank you.
Roger.
Yeah, we're given 20 minutes for this.
We have exceeded our time.
We've done 46 minutes, and we only asked one question. We had about 7 questions to ask.
Roger.
CYC, I don't know.
Roger,
If you
I want to touch on Abner's question, the growth in the last 5 years. So Abner, I'd say that at Bakita, the growth has been steady. But in your submission, you presented something that if we compare our growth to other Catholic churches, if we should compare our growth to other Catholic churches, then I would bring in an ingredient like the resources that we have in the immediate, or the resources we've had over the past 5 years. If the moment we introduce resources, then I would say that we are not doing well. For instance, the support of the church council, the support from the church community, the support from the priest, then we are not doing well. But if we are to look at it in vague, how well we are growing over the past 5 years, then it's been steady. Now, the challenge I will throw to all of us here is, ask yourself, how many youth do you know by name? And how many contacts of youth in this church do you have? And how often have you checked up on another? If you ask yourself these questions and you are not doing well, then admit that you are part of why we are not growing. Because there is so much that we can do, but often we have left the growth of the youth to just the few who probably find themselves in the youth council. Strong caution here. The youth council is not an association. The youth council is not a reserve of a few. It is just like the way we have the CPC. It is just to gather and think about art. You can table your ideas. Listen to the discussions. It is obvious we can categorize the submissions we are making. There are religious concerns, social, emotional, and all of that. It is the youth council that would have to harness all of this and probably think into providing solutions for it. So, brothers and sisters, we are all part of this growth thing that we are talking about. Today, we are youthful, and it is easy for us to assume that parents are this and that. 10, 15, 20 years' time, you'll be the one paying the school fees. You'll be the one expecting your child to come with the A's. And you'll still be the one expecting that another person should come and tidy up the church whilst your child makes the A's. So what are you doing today? It takes a lot from us. What brought you here today? If we were to call cleanup, and Father Hilary, Father James approved refreshment for 60 people, there are times that Father Hilary would approve for even 100 and say that I am hoping this time around they would come. We'll go and buy wache. Elom will bear me witness. We'll buy wache for 100. He will come and then he will say, are these all the people who came? Food for 100 will be eaten by 15 people. Yeah. Food for 100 will be eaten by 15 people. Trust me, if you were in his shoes, the next time you'd want to do cleanup and you brought a budget for 40, would you even approve it? And it is not just one instance. And it is not like the publicity did not go out there. And you meet a youth on a Sunday and you ask and say, Nama bro, ntime da kakra. And interestingly enough, that same youth would go around the church and point and say that this place is bushy. Why didn't they weed it? So please, our growth has been steady, but we can do a lot more given the resources we have.
Thank you so much. We have exhausted our time. And so we're going to take the final words from our priest, and then we'll call it.
So I want to thank all of you for your contribution. So we've heard your contributions, and I think those that are pertaining to us here, you try as youth council, look at them and then see the way forward. And then as a youth, let us also come together and work together for the good of the church. The church is ours. Let us come together and then build it. We have friends who are not here. Our next session, let us call all of them. You have a sister, you have a brother, you have a friend who's supposed to be here, but is not here. Let's call all of them. We are saying that every Tuesday is for the youth. That's why at the beginning of the sermon I asked, where are the youth? If you are saying it's for us, then please, let us see all of us here. God, this is where we try and discuss certain issues pertaining to us as youth. So please, let us all come. Tuesdays evening, let us all come, sit down, discuss issues. Issues affecting all of us as youth, so that we see the way forward. Anyway, thank you for coming today, and thank you for sharing. May God bless us all. Amen.
Thank you all very much. The discussions are not over. Continue on our platforms. I'm sure probably on Zoom. When it's ready, we'll share the link, and then we can continue with our discussions. Thank you very much for coming, and have a good night.
Thank you so much.
So we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. sharp.
Thank you.